All right, everyone, welcome to committee. I will call the meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us today. I want to just kind of explain where I'm at on voting out for today. I know I had it on your schedule to do that today. We are going to pause that, and the reason why is I think we could gather some more information, have some interesting discussion today, gather some more information, and we'd have some space for that next week. Before I got the dates when we were going to have report outs, I kind of planned that, hey, first week, I probably need to have these two budgets ready to go for appropriations, and we have a little bit more time than that. But it will be good for us to stay close to this schedule so that we can give the K-12 budget really most of the next 2 weeks to gather that information and be ready to make those decisions. So with that, is Superintendent Harding here? Oh, there he is, right in the front row. You were behind Rose, I couldn't see you. You have some people that you would like to introduce us to, and they can introduce themselves. So we give you the floor, and thank you for joining us again. Thanks for being in the Capitol today.
Committee for being so gracious for hosting our kids today. We're kind of hard to miss, as we say, but we had great conversations, great visits. I guess the brain trust is here, and I'm talking about our students. We also have some supporters. We worked with National Federation of the Blind today on the democratic process and the legislative process, and so we learned a little bit. I think we learned more than when we're in school, actually. So thank you for being gracious and spending a little bit of time with us, and hopefully you learned a little bit if we had a chance to visit with you. With the chair's permission, I'll ask our students to come up and introduce themselves briefly. Would that be okay? You guys want to come on up? I talked a little bit about Make 48 yesterday, so we have two of the representatives from that group. Sydney Parcell is here. Viviana Peatland is here, and then we have Ben Webster. So Ben's from Winfield, Kansas, down on 77, and Viviana's from Olathe, and Sydney's from Derby, Kansas. So do you guys want to just introduce yourself, maybe say a few words? Would that be okay, Chair?
Absolutely.
My name is Sydney Parcell. I'm from Derby. I am a part of the transition program at KSSB, and it's my first year. My favorite opportunity that I've gotten to be a part of through KSSB is definitely Make 48. Me and Viviana and another one of our teammates, or like our other teammate, won regionals back in July of 2025, and we went to Indiana for nationals back in November, and we won first place there as well. And let's just say we barely got enough sleep. It was a lot of fun, and I definitely wouldn't have been a part of it if it weren't for KSSB getting in contact with me and my district. So it's been amazing, and I'm definitely thankful for everything that I've gotten to be a part of through KSSB.
Well, we would like to congratulate you on your victories and your successes, and give you a round of applause for that.
Good afternoon. My name is Viviana Peatland, and I'm from Olathe. And my favorite part of KSSB I've had many opportunities, but the best one was Make 48, which the regional one was in 2025 at the Kansas City Art Institute, and my friend Sydney was on my team. And we were actually called the Dreammakers, our team name. And then we competed at Fisher's Maker Playground in Indiana, and we won that and regionals. And I'm so happy that we had this opportunity to compete. And I'm also in the transition program, and this is my first year. And I'm just grateful for all the opportunities that KSSB has given me, and I'm excited for what's coming. And thank you for your time.
Well, we congratulate you with a round of applause as well.
Good afternoon. I'm Ben Webster. The opportunities I had with KSSB was going to space camp at September 27th, and that was a great experience. Let me tell you, it's a good experience for other kids to have team bonding skills and just practice their social skills. It's also great for ones who are interested in space and have the opportunities to go to Huntsville, Alabama for a whole week. So I thank them for that. If they haven't reached out to me, I wouldn't have gone. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank the students and just say all three of these students in our dormitory, that's why they're able to stay today. We had a lot of students here, but these three stuck around. We're very proud of all of them. They've grown tremendously. These are always partnerships with our local schools, so all three of these students attended their public high school and then came to KSSB. But it's worked well, and these two young ladies will be pursuing the nonprofit next year, so stay tuned for more information. But thank you for your time and for your attention and your support. We're grateful.
We might have a couple questions for you, just while you're here, be able to interact with your students and you, Superintendent Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a little bit more of a comment than a question. This morning, one of my favorite things of the year happened. This group and a couple other people came to visit me in my room, in my office, and we were just visiting, and someone said, I did prepare a speech. And so I thought, oh, okay. So I sat back, and the level of lobbying and skill in that speech was second to none. I have a lot of lobbyists come see me every day, but convincing kids, you're doing really good work there, and I was very, very impressed.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for that comment. And Representative Wilson.
Yes, I'm kind of old
Go
school.
with your mic. There you go.
I'm kind of old school, so I kind of wanted to go see the facilities, and we set up an appointment tomorrow at 11 a.m. if anybody wants to go, since we won't be here. And I think Kevin's going to go, so if anybody else wants to go. Okay,
Excellent.
there we go. We'll meet there at 11, so thank you.
I will probably join you. I was doing the same thing. I was going to go trying to get a hold of the School of Deaf, but if we're going there at 11, I'll figure out a way to either go to the other one before or after.
Well, I was going to go there too, so while we're at it, because since they're close.
We got a thorough committee here.
It looks like we're gonna have
We're
it.
going to go put eyes on.
I don't have an appointment there yet. They were working on it. Maybe we can do that in the afternoon, so.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Representative, or Nick, you have a comment for us?
As you said at the start of the year, just be mindful of coma. With all of you gathering and going on a trip together, just be mindful of the Kansas Open Meetings Act and keep the business of this committee here in the committee.
And yeah, that's the main comment that was instructed to us is we can go, but we can talk no business, okay? We can just talk no business about it, but we can observe and we can interact, but the business stays here, okay? We have been warned. Representative Estes.
I have a question for our future astronaut. You had to get to space camp. Did you fly? How did you get there?
Oh yeah, so I flew out of Eisenhower, the Wichita Airport to Houston, so that was a layover, and then I went to Huntsville, Alabama Airport.
And did you travel by yourself?
I traveled with, I think, was it Laura? I can't remember exactly her full name, but Laura was one of my chaperones with another student.
Very good. And was that your first time to fly?
No, I've been overseas before, so I'm actually originally came from China. So I'm a U.S. citizen, but I was originally born in China. So that was not exactly my first time flying.
Very good. I know some adults who have never flown, so I just wanted to get a sense of your adventures, and good on you. What's the best thing you learned at space camp?
Well, all the friends I made. It's definitely a place for friendship, that's for sure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
We thank you all again, and I just want to say on behalf of this committee, we're honored to be a small part of your education process and your education journey, and we hope life takes you everywhere that you want to go, and you get all the equipping that you need to move in that direction. So thank you again for being here and visiting the State House and visiting our committee. And with that, we have I didn't do a very good job of this the last couple days, but I would like to welcome Representative Weichel. Is that how I say it? That is very good. I said it okay. Representative Weichel is sitting in for Representative Nguyen, who is still out this week, so we'll keep her in our thoughts and prayers, and I hope she got the card that we got her yesterday. And so with that, I would like to do a request for bill introductions, and I will lead while Representative Steele looks like she might have something as well, but I have a bill introduction of RS 2663, and this is about college entrance exam parity between ACT, SAT, and any other entrance exam testing. It's a clarification around that. Any objections to the introduction of? All right, with that, I will consider it accepted by this committee. Do I have any other bill introductions? All right, thank you. And with that, I'm going to ask Jennifer to bring forward some information that she has acquired. She works very hard, and I bet she was here later than all of us. And so we're going to give her some of our attention, clarifying information, and that is what I would like to use the rest of our time today is clarification that you need around the budgets that we've went over the last couple days, and any clarifying information and questions that you have for Jennifer and Nick or me to get to you before this next week so that we can make a good decision around these two budgets. So with that, I will wait for Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. We are going to be continuing to hand out some more documents so that hopefully I don't take up too much time of your discussion while we get going. The first one we're going to talk about, Jennifer Light, KLRD, for the record. The first document that I've handed out is the status of the State Buildings Fund SIBF fund. So on one side, you have a table, and on the other side, you have a little bit of a history of how the State Institutions Building Fund is funded. So previously, it was funded by a 0.5 mil tax levy on real property. And then in 2025, Senate Bill 35 amended this. So instead of having the mill levy, as of fiscal year 2027, there will be a transfer of $25 million from the SGF to the SIBF every year, and it will happen on July 1st. So in the first year, it is $25 million. The second year is $25.5 million. So each year, it will increase by $500,000. This fund is used for the use and benefit of state institutions that are caring for persons who are mentally ill, retarded, visually handicapped, handicapped with a hearing loss, or tubercular, or state institutions that are caring for children who are in need of care, juvenile offenders, and those who are in need of residential care or treatment, and then institutions designated primarily to provide vocational rehab for handicapped persons. All of this being said, that is how these funds are allowed to be used. So the two schools' budgets that you heard today, or this week, are part of those groups that are able to use SIBF funding. On the other side of the document, which has the lovely table, you can see that we have the fiscal year 24 actuals, 25 actuals, we have fiscal year 2026's agency request, and then what the Special Budget Committee has recommended. So, and that is the same amount for both years with an expenditure expectation of $44.3 million. Fiscal year 27 is where there is some difference between what the agencies are requesting and what the Special Budget Committee has recommended. For 27, when you add up all agency requests within the state budget that are allowed to use SIBF funds, the expenditures are at $29.4 million, which puts a negative amount in the SIBF fund in 27. This is due to the fact that they are using, that the 26 fully uses the ending balance and 27, only $25 million is being transferred in. According to the State Budget Committee, any new projects were pulled out, and those include the projects that we discussed as enhancements and supplementals for the two schools. And with that recommendation, there was a final expenditures line of $16.2 million, which leaves an ending balance of $8.8 million within the fund. So just something for you to keep in mind as you are thinking about the requests for the SIBF fund. I would remind you that when we're talking about this, the two schools are not the only agencies that are allowed to use money from this fund. So there are, of course, the other agencies that are going to be discussed in front of other budget committees that are also listening to those requests. And so House Appropriations and Senate Ways and Means, as the bodies that look over the whole budget, will also have an eye on that as well. But this is information that would be helpful for your considerations. And so happy to stand for questions on the SIBF fund.
Representative Estes.
Thank you. I'm looking at the narrative, which is very helpful. Thank you. The 0.5 mill tax levy, was that statewide?
Yes.
Thank you.
Representative Steele.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jennifer, can you please repeat what you said about the 16 and the 8.8?
So when you're looking at the fiscal year 2027 LBC recommendations, LBC means SBI, the Special Budget
Nope,
Committee.
I see it now. I'm good.
Oh,
I'm good, thank you.
16.2 million in expenditures with a ending balance of 8.8 million.
And for clarity, that was with them pulling out all of those enhancements, and that's what we are deliberating over, the 8 million. Representative McNorton.
Mr. Chair, that does not include, so the base rehab and repair, the HVAC maintenance system, the three ones that we were discussing that are the standards that continue to move forward, those are still in there. It is just the enhancement requests that were pulled out as far as capital improvements in 27.
Appreciate it. Good clarification. Representative McNorton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to make sure I'm clear here, Jennifer, the $16,207,000, the stuff that's already been approved, maybe in process or slated to start, so that's already in the budget for next year and approved already. It's just whatever the difference is there, 13 million or whatever.
Yeah, it's the enhancement requests on top of what is considered. Most agencies that receive money from the SIBF do get something called a rehab and repair base that they are allowed to use. And that money is all still, that's part of that 16.2 million. And then it's the specific requests that come forward before the Joint Committee on the State Building Construction, and then, of course, the budget committees and the rest of the appropriations committees that have been removed. So if you're looking at the budget summary document, we are talking about the sections under enhancements, which say SIBF, not anything under other changes.
Representative Smoy.
Thank you. Jennifer, these are two of them. How many other buildings are we looking at?
Mr. Chair, as far as the number of agencies that currently have budgets within the SIBF, I don't have that up here with me. I do know that like the Historical Society does use SIBF money, KDADS uses some SIBF money, the hospitals may use SIBF money, but for a full list, I'd have to go look it up. I'd be happy to get that for the committee, but I don't have that up here. But just to give a general idea, there are
a lot.
There are several other agencies, and how many of the buildings within those agencies, I don't have that information here. Again, happy to get that for the committee if that's what they want, just don't have it at the top of my head.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and request that for the whole of the committee, that we just have a brief report of who all this is in competition with in a sense, or that we have to balance, these dollars between, several budgets. So I'd appreciate that. Representative Owsley.
Thank you. And this might be a silly question, but the 25 million transfer, does that take appropriation action from the legislature, or is that the demand transfer?
Mr. Chair, I would defer to Nick as to the language that was put in Senate Bill 35. So
We'll give Nick a moment to ponder. And we'll take his answer on that here in just a minute, but it's a good question. Other questions around the funding source? All right, with that, Jennifer, I will allow you to maybe finish off your other documents, or Nick, if you have an answer for us, we'll let you jump in.
Yeah, so that, to Representative Owsley's question, that $25 million transfer, that is a demand transfer, and then that'll be 25 million plus 2% of the 25 million in each preceding year, or in each subsequent year.
Okay, Jennifer, you may proceed.
absolutely. The white piece of paper that Matthew handed out to you that says responses from the Kansas State School for the Blind, these were questions that were brought up during the Budget Committee's discussions on Tuesday, Wednesday, one of the days this week, whatever day we heard the budget summary for, or the budget presentation for the Kansas State School for the Blind. So this is just follow-up information from them about questions that we weren't sure if they had been fully answered during committee. The ones from School for the Deaf are still coming, so you will be getting those probably later tonight from me or first thing tomorrow. So do keep an eye on your email for that. There are 2 yellow sheets that we have handed out as well. One of them is the differences for the State School of the Deaf, and one is for the State School of the Blind that the governor recommended that the special committee on the state budget did not. We are still working on the 3-column request from Representative McDonald, so you will be seeing something like that from us as well. Just not today. So I was very close, just didn't quite get there for today's meeting. So, but I'm going to go over these really quickly just so you have an idea of what the governor recommended that was not included by in the discussion points by the special committee on the state budget. So I'm going to start with the School for the Blind, which is the shorter one of the 2 if you're looking at the 2 of them side by side. So the only difference in the governor's recommendation for the School for the Blind was that they did include, or she did include, the $718,000 SIBF to replace the roof of the Edland dormitory and the dining hall. So that in 27 is included in the governor's budget recommendation and was not included in the special committees for as far as consideration for that. As far as the School for the Deaf, there is, in 26, the governor did approve the reappropriations. So you see 2 line items here. It boils down to, it's $1,150. This goes back to that SGF lapse discussion that was had. So this is all just the statute that, but she approved the reappropriations of that $1,150 in 2026. And then in fiscal year 2027, she did include the 1.8 million SIBF to demolish the powerhouse structure, and then the 1.2 million SIBF for the Emory Elementary dorm remodel in fiscal year 27. So the majority of what you need to know is that there were several capital improvement projects that were recommended by the governor, which would all take SIBF money for the 2 different schools. So with that, that is the extra information I have today. Like I said, I will have another email coming either later tonight or tomorrow, which would include the School for the Deaf's responses, and then the table that does the side-by-side comparisons. I'd be happy to stand for questions on anything that is here, or I'm happy to sit down and let you have a lovely, healthy discussion about your thoughts.
Any extra questions for Jennifer on what she just presented about the governor's recommendations? Okay. Seeing none, thank you, Jennifer, appreciate it. What I would like to do next is focus on one budget at a time and just give you an opportunity to, if you want to, grab your School of the Blind budget. If you don't have one, I know they are posted online. Grab your computer and just field any questions to continue to educate, give space. But we are going to do them one at a time, and I also will enjoy the ability to have the weekend to go over this a little bit more, and I know there's other information you will want to go over. Any specific questions around the School for the Blind? Representative Brantley?
And this would be for superintendent. Next year, how many, or compared this year, next year, how many subs do you have in the building?
Sorry, Chair and Representative, we have two part-time subs in our building who are able to fill in when a teacher is absent. Otherwise, we're having other teachers cover classes on their planning period. Does that answer the question?
Yes. Now, on the full-time teachers, are they all licensed as you would want them? Any deficiencies in that area?
No deficiencies, as I said in my explanation. They all have to have a master's degree, either in special education, which is master's level, or as a TSVI or COMS, which is also master level programs. We do have a couple students, a couple of teachers, excuse me, who are going back for additional certification. They might be a science or math teacher, for example, and going back to get their TSVI. And we have a student, a former student who's blind, who's in the RTAP program at Wichita State. So he's becoming a teacher and hopefully ultimately a vision teacher because he's very good with technology and Braille.
Representative McNorton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So are your substitutes qualified to that, any of those standards or qualifications?
Representative and Chair Representative, they're not TSVIs. The substitutes we have, I believe, are certified, but they're not specialized in vision. So oftentimes they're serving in our life skills classrooms, things like that.
Thank you.
Representative Steele.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So hearing a discussion over the SIBF money, what does it look like for half of that funding? Does that even really help because it's got to be the full? I'm just trying to figure out where we can help, but be within our means too.
When I left yesterday, I asked my facilities director, how did I do? Because I'm not a building superintendent, I'm a teacher. And his answer is in your handout there, which is there's really no way, nothing except patching. And he explained there's a subroof on that, the existing roof, and a subroof beneath it because there's what he calls delamination. As the water gets into the subroof, then it becomes a bigger problem. So I don't know what else we can do other than continue to patch it. The best solution really is to fix it now because of the expense of doing it later. And for those who are coming tomorrow, we do have photos of that, or I'm not going to ask you to climb on the roof, but if you're so inclined, you can see some of that damage. I think seeing the pictures it tells you, you can see what the problem is.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How much of your maintenance services are shared? I believe you said that you share some things with the School for the Deaf.
We do. Chair, it's a good question. So we have, my facilities director is 50/50. We pay half the salary for him, and he spends half his time at the School for the Deaf, managing all the contracts. We have general contractors, of course, large projects going on. So he's overseeing that. We have one person underneath him who is a shared position, 50/50, who's boots on the ground, checking with contractors and subcontractors, making sure the work is done properly. And then on our campus, we have one, quote, maintenance person who's not doing big projects. He's painting and, hanging up photos and drilling holes for, patching holes, things like that. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have a follow-up on kind of that. What about cybersecurity? Is there a tech service that is, in a sense, shared as well?
Back in some history, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe back in 2009 there was a closure commission. Governor Sebelius formed a commission to look at state agencies, including the School for the Deaf, School for the Blind. One of the recommendations they had was that we'll keep the schools, both of them open, but we would need to share costs. I wasn't there at the time. But at that time, we shared IT, information technology, HR, business, and facilities. Those are still shared 50/50 today.
And a follow-up around kind of that whole concept of those shared things. One school, not yours, but the School of the Deaf is asking for the 6-day extension, which would change those staffing dynamics a little bit, and you are not, in a sense, wanting that or requesting that. And to do it for one, and I've had some feedback outside of this room that that parity is kind of important for those reasons. That there could be some lines that don't work very well without that parity. So if you just kind of speak to that or respond, it's more of a statement than a question.
My response is I completely understand that. It makes perfect sense. I think the legislature has always treated us fairly, equally, and we want that too. The problem would be just this year. We did not plan for this at all. In fact, I didn't hear about it till months into this school year. So making that adjustment with the days at this point in time would be very difficult. I think in future, subsequent years, it would be much easier, and we certainly would honor that. And I think it makes perfect sense.
Okay, just want to, I appreciate that response. It helps with some clarity, probably, just thinking about 27, and that there could be parity there, but not this year. And I kind of felt the same way about the other one. It seemed like not a great precedent to set to add days and be changing a calendar for a school in the school year. So we were thinking around that, but that response really, really helped, so I appreciate it. Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We might have covered this a couple days ago when you were here, but can you remind me how much did the legislature shortchange the School for the Blind with that 1.5% reduction?
Chair and Representative, I believe the dollar amount was $124,000.
Okay, and if I could have a follow-up, can you remind me, how did that impact you guys? And is there a reason you didn't ask for us to give that to you as I think you deserved?
Thank you for the question. It impacted us in that we just delayed some purchases for equipment, assistive technology. Some of our students are carrying it today. I think Ben has a Mantis with him. Those devices are very expensive, but if we're able to stretch out another year or 2 years, that's what we did. And why don't I ask for it? Because I really believe that, a part of the responsibility of being a state agency and the head of an agency is to be responsible and fiduciary, the gifts that we are given. And we hustled a little bit and made that up by providing more service and not recruiting, but receiving more students from the state of Missouri. I did ask for a tuition increase from the state board for that reason. And I think it's completely fair. It's probably still a little bit too low when you look at other private schools. But I also want to focus on the positive things that we are doing. Sometimes we get caught up here in committees looking on the negative things and explaining why we need a little bit more money. And I want to share the good things that we are doing. which is why we brought our students and our teachers today.
I guess as a very quick follow-up, I appreciate you bringing them, but I want to make sure that we are honoring our obligation to these students too, so please don't be shy.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, quick follow-up from me, just because of kind of how that happened as far as did you ever receive a request for the 1.5 reduction? And because many agencies did, and they submitted their response, KSDE, of what because there was an option given of what they would cut with the 1.5% reduction. Did you ever see that or fill that out?
We did. I believe we did early in the session. If I remember last year, the initial request is what would a 10% cut look like? And we submitted that. And then later on, I think the request is 1.5%, so we submitted that too. So we were prepared for it in that sense. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. I mean, there was a different answer from the other budget that we're covering, that there was not, that given. And so something was missed, and we're looking into making that right. I have one more follow-up, and then I think Representative Brantley has a list over here for me. But the difference between the governor's rec and yours would be the number 3 on our capital improvements R&R base increase. She did not include it. I mean, we have a little description of what that is, but I just kind of wanted to make the committee aware that that is really the difference between her recommendation and the enhancement requests that we are seeing that are not in the budget. So, thank you, Superintendent. Or Representative Brantley, did you have somebody? All right, Representative Brantley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And it's kind of just a wondering question. Are your students on an individualized learning plan?
Chair and Representative, yes, every student who attends our school is on an individual education program. They're required to be identified as blind or low vision, so they have to be on an IEP.
Well, we thank you for your time. Thanks for fielding some more questions, filling us in. Appreciate it. With that, any other questions around Kansas State School for the Blind budget? All right, thank you for that. Let's open up discussion around Kansas State School for the Deaf. Questions or clarity do we need? And one that has been discussed, and I got to find my right piece of paper. I think it's this one. Is, and they are not here for this, but possibly over the weekend. And I think Representative Estes said it well the other day. Oh, they're on WebEx and could give feedback. We're checking if they are on WebEx and. I was saying, I think Representative Estes made a statement
Yes.
when we were going over the, okay, you are there.
Hello,
Thank you.
everyone. It's good to see you all today.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to have discussion, but we may have some questions for you as well. And Representative Estes brought up the point of, you've got two pretty large enhancement requests in the form of construction projects. And if we had to do one or the other, I think we would probably need some guidance from you on which one to contend for. And the demolition of the building and making the parking lot an entrance, how we understand that, and then also the roof and the rehab of the dorm. So if you'd want to give us some feedback on which of those would be the best priority for your students.
One moment, the interpreter cannot see Superintendent Barron. All right, thank you. I understand your question in terms of if we had to choose one. I would say our top priority would be students first, as always. Our students come first. So I would choose the elementary Emory roof, especially in the dorm location as well, because that's where our students reside. So right now, we don't have any students in that area because of the roof situation. There is severe damage. So we moved students to a different dorm wing. The atrium is where we have a glass roof. So it is a full roof, but in this particular area, it's a glass roof. And that's where students often use the restrooms, that we do classroom activities in that area. It's kind of a passing location. If they need to do a group activity, it's also a waiting area when they're getting ready to go out for recess. And so that's an area that impacts many student activities that is often has to be partitioned off due to leaks. So I would say that elementary building, which also contains a dorm, is that roof. The powerhouse demolition, that would be a building that's used for our maintenance staff. We have a storage area in there. That's where our old boiler system is. So the students never go into that building, so it'd be less impact on students for the powerhouse building, whereas the Emory building, that would have the greater impact on students.
Appreciate that response. Representative McNorton. Oh, nope, I need to go to the first person I saw. I appreciate, I apologize. Representative McDonald was next.
I know that our names are hard. Right as I was going to sleep last night, a good question occurred to me. When we talk about the powerhouse demolition, we mentioned that it would make room for parking, but creating a parking lot is not a part of this number, is it? Would that be an additional project later to put down the pavement and create the parking space?
That number is all inclusive for the
Excellent.
demolition as well as the parking lot, as well as aligning our entrance along that side of our campus. Right now, when you leave campus, it's off-centered from Kansas City Road and Santa Fe. So they are presently off-center. So we asked the city to put in some lights, and there's no way to really kind of do that because we are off-center our driveway with Kansas City Road. So by demolishing the powerhouse, that would allow us to align that, and we may be able to put in a small kiosk for security purposes at an entrance that would be as part of that realignment process.
Thank you very much. Just a real quick follow-up. I was wondering if the city might have been willing or approached with helping us with any of the cost of that alignment or any of that construction.
The city of Olathe did installed the traffic lights that are currently there. And then the sidewalk that is on our side of the campus, our side of the street, is the city's responsibility. So to realign our entrance, that's state property. So we would be the ones who would be fiscally responsible for doing that realignment of our side. The city might be willing to come up with some sort of agreement in terms of the traffic lighting system that would be required and any impacts that would apply to city-owned property on their side of that intersection. For example, we currently have traffic lights outside of our campus. When we move when we realign, do a realignment, we could ask for a traffic light to be placed then on our side of that intersection. So that would be, it's only small portions of that that would be shared.
Those are all excellent answers. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear it.
Representative McNorton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the capital improvements, Emory Elementary dorm, about the roof, is that all included in the 1.2, the roof and the remodels and everything? Again, along the same lines as our previous rep?
Yes. Yes, that is all inclusive.
Thank you.
That would include the atrium portion of that building. If you haven't been to our campus, I know some of you are coming next week to visit campus. We have a clay tiled roof on that building. And then there's one area of the roof that is a glass enclosure that's over our atrium. And both our clay tile sections and the glass sections are leaking. And these areas are prone to leaks similar to our atrium. Our clay tiles are often repaired. We have to put in new underlayment underneath them when there is a repair.
Thank you.
Thank you for those responses. And this is a little bit of a question for you, but also probably more so maybe a get back to us. Want to understand if we don't do the 6 days in 2026, and Jennifer, that is there already a increase in the, not in the enhancement request, but the other changes? If we don't do the 6 days, what is the fair amount for their pay parity that we would still need to put in that 26 budget? And then we may also need to ask that same question for 27. I think we may go for the parity on days in 27 to where we might not have to worry about that. But it sounds like in 26, just may need to understand what we would need to do to make them whole on their salaries if we don't do the 6 days in 26.
This is Superintendent Barron. For FY26, if you feel, I just saw the explanation with Superintendent Harding and understand the confusion of having to make that change in the middle of a school year. For us, for this year, we would not be completely on par with Olathe. We would have an increase, yes, still based on that historical precedent and practice, that 1 year behind practice. So we would still be behind by $6,000 per cell. If you're feeling as if maybe not this year, but by next year, and you want to see the total in terms of what would be requested for FY26 versus FY27, then both of that would be seen in the total for FY27.
Okay, appreciate that clarity. Representative Estes has a follow-up.
Thank you. While you're on that line, if we don't add the 6 days, your request would still be on parity for the daily rate, yes?
Yes.
And I think
For
that's
fiscal year
important.
27.
That's important for us to remember.
I agree. Representative Steele.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So public schools have to have 1,116 hours, correct? Yes, okay. So How does your 181 days versus the 186 compare? Is that an issue? Maybe this is a Dr. Hardwood question as much as it is when the public schools get audited for that calendar and those hours. Is any of that at issue or at play with any of this? I'm not sure who that question is for.
Well, we didn't have Dr. Harwood in the last committee, so now he's here in this one, and he can come forward and share some wisdom.
So the 100 or 1,116 hours, that statute does not apply for the School for the Deaf and the School for the Blind because they are not school districts. And so for the same reason, we don't audit that because we audit the funding that goes through the funding formula and their funding doesn't come through that way. I will say that there are, just for comparison, there are school districts that have 181-day contracts, 187-day contracts. What that does then is the number of student days makes more of a difference. How many of those are work days or PD days? And then what is the length of their school day? So all those go into it. So you could have a 181-day teacher contract and meet the 1116 requirement. Many districts have a lot more than that built in, and then it only becomes a problem when you have lots of snow days.
May I ask a follow-up?
Yes, go ahead.
You just made an interesting question that my colleague to my left here and I were curious about. They don't receive the same funding formula, so like special education, that's completely different?
So, yeah, it is completely different. They are funded as a state agency, just like any other state agency. They are not part of the categorical aid formula or the other formula. So it's completely separate. They're not funded as school districts.
Why is that just how it was set up?
That predates me by a long way, yeah. So
maybe Superintendent, do you know? That's just, I don't know why I'm making all that connection just now, but I'm curious why that is. And would the formula actually be beneficial or no, okay.
No. So I don't know. I know less than Dr. Harwood about where it originated. I really don't. But because we would have to only count our students on campus as part of the funding formula, we would have to close the very next day.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you.
The other thing I would say is that when we look at the excess cost calculation that's part of the school district special education formula, the costs for the School for the Deaf and the School for the Blind are not included. So basically, if you shifted that over there, in many ways, almost all of their expenses would be special education. They have a general education component, but it's all in service of an IEP. So it would get pretty complex and probably is why they have it separate right now.
A massive excess over that amount. So yes, thank you, Dr. Harwood. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Estes might have a follow-up.
Yes, so the funding formula was never designed for the uniqueness of these situations, and if we ever did that, it would devastate these schools, and let's not think that.
Jennifer, I have a question for you, but also then to give you some space for what you would like to do a follow-up on. So since School for the Deaf, School for the Blind are treated as a state agency more so than a district, what we just heard. Is there a standard practice for state agencies for reserve accounts?
Well, we'll have to look into that. If I'll have to ask some questions amongst my budget team.
I appreciate that. And I think of it because, the School for the Deaf had testimony that there wasn't reserves. There was what they had budgeted, and they were going to spend that down every year. And that's one way to live, but there's definitely maybe another process, and I just wanted to check and see if there is anything in statute that as a state agency, if there's a way that in our budgeting considerations, if we could allow for that buffer over reserve through an appropriation that in a sense isn't necessarily to be touched. I don't know. I'm talking out loud. That's what this one's for. And just thinking around some of the problems that we're encountering and how we can offer creative solutions. So, and then Jennifer, follow up on the fund.
Jennifer Light, KLRD. I would ask that you disregard the blue piece of paper in front of you currently. We will provide a more accurate, updated one. There were a couple of errors made on it, and so I would ask, just for your own reference, I'm going to give you what the ending balance for fiscal year 2025 is, so that you have an idea, and I will be sending that out later tonight. I apologize for that. So, the ending balance in fiscal year 2025 based on actuals is $43,758,155 going into fiscal year 2026. I will have answers for you for the rest of it later, but there is more than the amount listed under the 25 actuals on the first document.
Excellent. Thank you. We will look forward to that document. Representative McNorton.
Thank you, Chair. Do you know, Jennifer, if there was any balance in 26 then, or have you got that far yet?
The table is being corrected currently, so I would like to wait until the table is finalized.
That's
so.
fair. Thank you.
But again, just for the record, $43,758,155 is the ending balance at the end of fiscal year 2025.
Representative Estes.
To your department, I just want to recognize that we ask a ton of you guys on very short time, and you guys do an amazing job responding to us. So however that happened, I kind of appreciate knowing that y'all are human too, because sometimes I don't think you are. I sometimes want to think of you like this perfect computer.
Representative Owsley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And back to our super online, the demolition of the powerhouse structure. Yesterday, if I recall correctly, it was mentioned that the powerhouse is roughly $3 per square foot to maintain. And if we were to not go forward with raising this building this year, do we have an estimate or an idea upon the annual maintenance of this structure?
Yes. I don't have that number right in front of me. I will send that information to Jennifer so she can pass that along. It would be several thousands of dollars.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. And Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is probably a question for Representative Owsley, and I hate to put you on the spot, and you can say I don't know, but this fund, the state building fund, does it generally carry a decent balance? Do we spend it down every year? Help me understand what normal is.
Representative Owsley.
Thank you. And I'm going to punt that question to Jennifer. I'm going to say that, yeah, when in the past, when we've been spending down this fund, not only for these two, schools, but for all the other buildings that come in front of the committee and request it, we always try to keep an eye on the ending balance. And I will say that in the governor's budget recommendation, the ending balance is referred to, I think, as healthy. So that's the information I have that I can give, and I'd let Jennifer comment more if there's more.
If she's ready to, no rush to Jennifer.
The only other comment I would add right this second is that I do have the fiscal year 24 actual ending balance, and that was 37.8 million. So just under 37.8 million. So 24 is 37.8, 25's actuals ending balance was 43.8. So.
Okay, well, I 100% feel better. Some of the questions that we have asked and the knowledge that we've gained around these two budgets, even just with a few questions, and then a visit over the weekend or next week, those of us that can. And I absolutely don't have to keep you till 5, but Representative McNorton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a procedural. So if we want to change the way the salaries are being set now off of last year's, is that an amendment, or is that just what we're going to do as we bring the budget forward? If you could, let me know how to do, or how we need to proceed with that.
I would reference Nick to give some, any advice on now and in the future to him as well. I mean, that's the best reference point. It would not be me, it would be Nick. But yes, we will do it the best we can with the best procedures. But Nick, a follow-up.
So as you all know, and as we've discussed in committee, those two statutes for the School for the Deaf and the School for the Blind require the parity with Olathe to be not less than that district. You can certainly, through the appropriations process, provide additional monies for salaries. Should it go less than the statutory amount, I would recommend a statutory adjustment.
I saw Representative Poskin was next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I recall correctly, we did not fund the roof last year for the School for the Blind, and this might be a question for Jennifer or whoever can answer it. The amount that they're asking for this year, has it increased than the amount that they said it would cost last year? Yeah, you want me to repeat that? Yeah, I gotcha. So what I'm getting at is we didn't do the roof for School for the Blind last year, and I don't remember how much they asked for, and I wondered if that cost has gone up, and I want the committee to think about if we don't do it this year, are we then looking at $890,000 to do that, right? Because of inflation and costs and so forth. So I'm worried about the cumulative effect of kicking this can down the road.
Yeah, and Representative Owsley made a good point on the maintenance of the building, that if we don't tear it down as well.
Right,
Yep.
thanks.
I'm going to go to Representative Wilson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is set up for next Friday at 2:30 for the School of the Deaf.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to express my gratitude for you not rushing this. I have been feeling a little anxious, and so giving us a little more time. And also, I want to thank Jennifer for appeasing me and working on charts that help me process a little better. So thank you so much for that.
All right, well, having good discussion and getting more information is the best path. And so I appreciate your attentions to these matters and researching it over the weekend and bringing back your fresh mind next Tuesday. Have a good long weekend, and thank you for your efforts here this week. And we are adjourned.